In this video, I share with you how to find something to be passionate about by simply looking at your past. Because I've seen it time and time again that people who think they've lost their passion have in fact just forgotten about it. So it's less about finding something to be passionate about, but more about remembering. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a specific process and also give you a few examples from my own life to help you stimulate the memory. So by the end of this video, you will realize that it's no wonder that you're passionate about of these things that we found inside your memory. And you will find that you're still passionate about some of those things, if not all, today. The first period we're going to look at is from 5 to 9 years. That is the time where a lot of the deep neurological wiring that still determines a lot of our behavior and experiences was formed. That's why it's so often the case that people who really enjoyed doing something when they were 5 to 9 years old still enjoy those things today. So what are your happiest memories from that time when you were 5 to 9 years old, preschool to the first few classes in elementary school? What did you particularly enjoy doing? How did you spend most of your time? What did you do in your free time? For me, what I loved was teaching myself and teaching others certain skills. For example, when I was 5 years old, I taught myself how to read. And still to this day, I love learning new skills and teaching myself to do certain things. Then I remember that we were often going hiking with our whole family on the weekend. And what I really loved was running down the mountains. Now, it's not a really safe thing to do as a kid to run down mountains. However, turns out today I still love running up and down and around mountains, and it's one of my greatest passions. However, for a long time I didn't know or have forgotten about this passion. And it's only now that I realize, oh, it's no wonder that I'm still passionate about this thing. Also, when I was 5 to 9 years old, I really loved reading, and my greatest heroes were authors. And I always dreamt about one day publishing my own book and becoming an author myself. However, it took nearly 20 years for me to rediscover the passion that I had when I was a kid and the dream that I had when I was a kid, and to finally become an author and publish my very own book. And again, still to this day, one of my deepest and most satisfying passions is writing on a book. And also remember from this period that I spent Sunday afternoons often with my grandfather, and he would tell me stories about World War II because he had actually experienced it. And we would also watch movies and documentaries from that time where certain battles were documented. And still to this day, I'm curious about and interested in, and you could even say passionate about, learning and understanding why people fight, why wars arise, and also how peace can be created. And that passion is a big driving factor for the new book that I'm working on. So already I can see this clear connection between the time when I was 5 to 9 years old to the time now, and how the passions that I had back then are still very real for me today. Now let's go to the next period. Between 9 to 15 or 16 years, what are your memories from this period? What did you do in your free time after school? What subjects did you enjoy the most during school? What own personal project or hobbies did you have back then? What interests did you engage in on a continuous basis? For me, one thing I really loved to do was walking through the forest and having memorized all the different plants and trees and insects and mushrooms, and now being able to identify them. That's something I was really passionate about back then. And still today, I really love walking through the forest, and spending time in nature is also one of my greatest passions, which means I still prefer watching documentaries about nature, about the planet, about animals over any Hollywood movie. Another thing I loved to do during that period between 9 to 15 years was to play around on my computer, to put together different hardware, different software, and even program different websites and plugging in the first modem to get internet connection into our home. These were things I could spend hours and whole weekends doing because I was so interested and fascinated by this technology. Now fast forward a few more years, like nearly 20 years, guess what? I'm still passionate about using the computer and creating different things with it. And we would also shoot videos ourselves during the time period, which was something I really loved to do. And we would film ourselves doing different stunts. And to this day, now it's no wonder that I ended up now shooting this video and really loving the process of it. And however, again, it's something that took me years to rediscover because I had forgotten about this passion. However, if I look at it right now, I realize, oh, it's no wonder that I love doing videos because I loved it doing 15, 20 years ago. Now let's go to the third period, between 16 to 18 to 19, even 20. What are things that you really love to do? What are your happiest memories from the time? How did you spend your free time? What activities did you engage in after school or after work, if you already worked at that age? During that time, I still remember that I would spend a lot of time trying to find the best home workout exercise to train my body and also experiment with different forms of nutrition and diets, which is still something I enjoy today. Like working out at home is much more fun to me than working out at a gym. And also constantly learning about nutrition and about what the healthiest food is so that my body can function at the best possible level is still something I'm passionate about. However, I must say that during this period, there are not so many things that I'm still passionate about today. And most of the things that I am still passionate about have come from the first two periods, from the age of 5 to around 16 years. In fact, it turns out that a lot of the things I've been doing when I was 16 to 20 years old, I'm no longer doing. For example, I played soccer, but I'm no longer really passionate about it. And also, I went to a lot of parties, to a lot of music concerts, and also drank a lot of beers, all things I don't do anymore. Now, if you still find it somewhat hard to think back to those times when you were younger, when you were a teenager, and figure out what were things you were really interested in and passionate about, then you just could ask, right, the people who were observing you at the time. This could be your parents, this could be friends, it could be your brother or sister. However, if you don't have this option, then it just is a matter of taking time for yourself and becoming really quiet and really imagining the time you had as a kid. Or you might even be able to look at images of yourself when you were that age and see what were you doing back then. And this might help you activate those centers in your brain where the memories from the time are stored. And I'm sure if you go through this process several times, you will find a few things that you were passionate about back then. Now you have a list of things that is a high chance for you that if you try those things and really start engaging in this, you'll find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you're still passionate about today. If you want to practice a strategy to help you identify a passion that is right under your nose, I suggest you check out this video over here where I show you how you can simply look at the books you read to identify things that you're passionate about. Now I'd love to hear from you. What are a few things that you've identified that you were passionate about back then that you are willing to test and see if they still spark that joy inside you? Leave a comment below this video and I'd love to know what they are. If you'd like to receive more of these videos, then I suggest you click this button in this corner right here to subscribe so you get notified whenever I release a new video.